Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. We are moving on to a new position today. We are going over to the offensive line, taking a look at left guard, one of three interior offensive line positions the Seahawks are doing okay at, but definitely need to get better at. And in the case of left guard, it's mostly about the depth, although, quite frankly, I think that there could be an improvement made at the top as well. And here's how I see it breaking out right now, just to break down the current state of the roster. Right now, I have Damien Lewis at left guard, starting, where he started the last 2 years, and I have Jalen McKenzie listed as his backup. However, Jalen McKenzie isn't really a left guard. He's a tackle. I just listed him at left guard because that's where we needed a body. The reality is Jalen McKenzie shouldn't be making the active roster regardless unless he massively improved over the last season, so we need somebody better than Jalen McKenzie at the very least to back up Damien Lewis. So that would be one part of this. We need somebody who can be a second string left guard behind Damien Lewis because, let's face it, you need a backup anyway, but Lewis has missed a little bit of time so far in his pro career. However, there's a little bit of a layer beyond that. We know, look, I give Damien Lewis full credit for the way he played last year. He played really well, was a very good left guard, one of the better left guards in the NFL, and I'm not against him continuing to play that position. However, I do believe that he is better at right guard, and if you moved him back over, even though I don't know how well his, mentality would take being shifted back and forth over and over again, I think if you did that, he could become a much better player. He could become a dominant right guard. And I do think that's where he's better off, despite the fact that he played quite well last year. So you could get a starting caliber left guard, bump Damien Lewis over to right. You could do that. And by the way, while we're here having the conversation, let's not forget that Damien Lewis's contract is expiring at the end of the year. We've got one more year of Damien Lewis, and maybe he comes back, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Left guards get paid a lot these days. So I don't know exactly what the future holds with left guard, but we need to address it in some way. We either need quality depth, we need a better starter than Damien Lewis so he can bump over, or at the very least, we need a depth guy who can develop into a starter next year if Damien Lewis moves on. So one way or the other, no matter how you slice it, we need to do something with this position, and the draft is really the last place to do it, and we've got some prospects to look at to figure out exactly what our options are. So today we are going to be taking a look at the top 100 left guards, and it's not going to take very long. There are only two of them. One of them is as good as it gets. The other guy's really good too, but plain and simple, there are not a lot of really intriguing left guards in this draft. Now, before I get into this, let me make one thing very clear, because there is going to be some discussion and debate over this as we move towards the draft. Where an offensive lineman player projects when he goes from the college game to the pro game is debatable. And sometimes we don't really know where somebody's going to land until they actually land there, and there was just no way for us to see it coming. Both of the guys we're going to talk about in this video today played left tackle in college. But because of skill set limitations, like, for instance, arm length, they're unlikely to be able to do it at the pro level. So they project to move inside to guard, where their excellent skill set outside of things like arm length and, in some cases, things like lateral agility are going to allow them to still be dominant without the problems of them trying to play tackle. So, believe me, it's definitely understood that there might be some players out there that played tackle at the college level who are also going to end up moving inside, and they might end up being really good left guard prospects. There might be some guys that I currently have projected to be a right guard who are going to end up playing left guard because they have some mobility or lateral agility that I didn't see in the college game for whatever reason. The college that they were at simply didn't utilize them like that. So there may be hidden left guards out there in other positions, like tackle, like right guard, maybe even center. Definitely understood. But from my perspective, these are the left guards. The first guy, Peter Skoronski, The dude is clean. The dude is a monster. The dude is as good as it gets for a left guard prospects. This guy, Quentin Nelson, he's got Quentin Nelson all over him. I don't know if he's quite that good, but he's very close. Northwestern product, 22 years old, 6'4", 313 pounds, perfect kind of frame and size you want for a left guard. 32.25-inch arms, which is the problem. That's why he's probably going to end up moving into guard, even though he was a really good tackle in college. 10-inch hands, 5.16 40, 1.75 10 yards split, pretty decent. 34.5-inch vertical, good for an offensive lineman. 9'7" broad, okay. 7.8 second three cone, 30 bench press reps, very solid. So Skoronski, he had a pretty good testing period, and it supplemented what we already thought about him. Peter Skoronski is considered a top 15 pick by every major big board. He's in the top 10 of a couple. ESPN has him top 5. The mock draft database aggregate has him 13th. He's a first round pick all day. He's almost certainly going to be taken in the top 20. If you look at his PFF stats from 2022, he graded out at just shy of a 90. Good run blocking, 81.7, but elite against the pass, incredible pass protection. Elite in zone, 88 grade overall, a little shy of 70 in gap blocking, so not as good there, but still capable. He allowed 1 sack in 12 games, 2 QB hits, and 3 QB hurries, so he kept his quarterback at Northwestern extremely clean. So the reputation precedes this guy. This guy's a monster. But beyond just the performance, what can we say about him as a prospect? Well, if you draft him, he's your day one left guard, easily. He's going to be better than Damian Lewis is, I believe, day one. Maybe there's like some very short development process with him where he needs some games to get his feet underneath him. But he's going to be your day one starter, I believe, and he's going to be very good at it very quickly. He's got great hands. He's very good at latching on. He's very good at getting his punches in before his opponent can. He's really good with his hands. He moves extremely well in space. He is a pure scheme fit for a zone blocking scheme. He holds up against speed and bull rushes. You're not going to get around him. You're also not going to run over him. And again, that was something he brought to the table as a tackle. So you move him to guard, he'll be even better able to handle speed, because speed on the inside is different from speed on the outside. It's not the same threat. He's got power in the run game. He's able to just bully people around and push people around and handle things like that. And he's able to do it with mobility. He's able to move in front of a running back trying to find the hole. He's able to hit correct angles to open up holes for his running back. So he's going to win both ways. He should be really great blocking at the second level against linebackers. I have no concerns about him as a move guard. Should be able to move in space without issue. And some people think Skoronski will end up playing center in the NFL at some point. So he could also be an amazing center, which we may also have need for in the near future. Our current center is on a 1-year deal. So a lot of upside here with Skoronski. I have very little negative to say about him. He's practically a perfect prospect. The only issue I have with him is nothing to do with him. It's that maybe a team that just doesn't get it will view him as a tackle and take him in like the top 5 because they're thinking of him as a tackle when that's the complete wrong way to look at him. So as a player, I can't really say anything bad about him as long as you play him at left guard. He's pretty much a flawless prospect as that position goes. He'll be a mediocre tackle prospect. He can be okay, but I don't think you're going to get anything over the top with him as a tackle, so hopefully teams don't look at him like that. So the positional value of a left guard is not typically something you ever see go in the top 5. I can acknowledge that. Quentin Nelson went number 6 overall. Quentin Nelson was number 6. So that's about as good as it gets. But I'll say this. This guy is so clean, so good as a prospect, so perfect, basically, as a left guard, especially for this offense. If we took him at number 5, I wouldn't like it, but I wouldn't dislike it. I don't think I would do it. I would probably look to trade down a little bit, at least to 8, maybe even like 10. but he's really good, and I can't deny it at this point. So I would take him if you trade down a little bit. I can't do it at 5, but I'm close. Okay, another guy for this video. The only other top 100 left guard as I see it is Cody Mauch of North Dakota State. A little bit on the older side, 24 years old, 6'5", 302 pounds, 32 and 3/8 inch arms, 9 and 3/4 inch hands. Good combine results. He had a nice little combine in terms of his 40 time. His jumps were not so good, admittedly. 29-inch vert, 9-foot flat broad, 7.333 cone, 4.55 20-yard split. 29 bench press reps is solid, however. And most of the big boards have him in the second round. Sports Illustrated has him in the first. PFF has him in the third. The mock draft database says late second. I imagine he's going to go sometime in the mid to late second, if I had to guess. He was graded out excellently in 2022, even better than Skoronski, honestly. This is another guy who played left tackle in college. Almost a 92 grade overall, 91.2 against the pass, 91 against the run, 82 against the pass, almost 72 in zone, 91 in gap, which is notable because this is a guy who is generally considered to be a zone offensive lineman. So the fact that he did so well in gap situations in 2022 indicates some real versatility here that I don't think he was expected to have until this year. And throughout the season, he played, I believe, every snap, or at least almost every snap. 1 sack allowed, 2 QB hits, and 6 QB hurries. So Cody Mauch, what I can say about him is that he'll be another day one starter, I think. I imagine that he'll bump Damian Lewis over to right guard pretty much immediately. He's got the mobility to mirror pass rushers, and that was something he was able to do adequately as a tackle. Again, the main reason why Cody is going to move to the inside is he's got kind of short arms. Not because he can't do some of the things that tackles do physically. It's just he was gifted with not so long arms. He's got good mobility for an offensive lineman. He moves very well for a 300-pound guy. He's excellent working down the field. He'll peel down to the second level, get a block on a linebacker who's, in motion, and allow the running back to spring free for a big play. He's plays with a ferocity. He's got this intensity to him. He's got this just fierceness to the way that he plays that is very, very appealing for any offensive lineman prospect. And again, I want to draw attention to this. He scored much better on gap-based plays than zone-based plays, which is surprising. I think most people view this guy as a zone guy. So if he has some upside to win in gap situations, that makes him a truly scheme-versatile fit like Skoronski. So there's a lot to be intrigued by with Cody. He had a very, very impressive 2022 that put him on the map as a guy who I believe will go sometime in the second round. So the issues with Cody, the things that kind of, I think, separate him from Skoronski as a prospect would be he gets out-muscled from time to time. He's not super strong. He's not somebody who's going to just maul everybody to death. He's somebody who is going to depend on his skill and finesse and agility to win. He is, I believe, even though these grades tell a different story, I do believe he is better in a zone scheme, which is fine. But just understand, if you just send him straight forward and tell him to run everybody over, it might not work out well. He does get a little bit grabby. There are some penalty concerns. He's probably going to pick up some penalties, although that should be mitigated by moving him to guard. It won't be as bad if he's at guard compared to tackle when he's grabbing these edge rushers. So Cody Mauch is another excellent fit for this offense. And the versatility, there are some signs of it that he has the same versatility that Skoronski does. I don't think he's as good as Skoronski. I can't guarantee that he's going to be an ideal scheme fit for a zone-based scheme and a gap-based scheme, but the results are very similar in terms of end result. He was almost as effective as a pass protector. He was still an excellent run blocker. He plays well at the second level. He plays well in space. The main thing separating him from Skoronski, and don't get me wrong, he's clearly not as good a prospect as Skoronski, would just be his raw strength compared to some defensive linemen he's going to go up against and the penalty concerns. But he's clearly the second best left guard prospect for me in this draft. And while I acknowledge there's some chance he goes in the early second, I'm going to wait for the mid to late. Okay, That's it for left guard prospects. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Tomorrow we will move on to day 3.